Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're having an incredible day. Hi, my name is Rosalie Olmsted. I am WESA's Executive Assistant. It is an honor to have you here today with WESA's strategic partner, Lockheed Martin. But before we get started, I'd like to give you a quick overview of the WESA's organization. We often go by our acronym WESIS because that is exactly what we are, a global cyber sisterhood. WESIS is a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. Our community is made up of over 10,000 members in 99 different countries. We have 70 professional affiliates and over 300 student chapters around the world. We offer a variety of initiatives and skills development programs, including our leadership series, the Job Board Plus Plus, Speakers Bureau, our annual conference, which is coming up from April 2nd to the 5th in Dallas, Texas, our Mentor Mentee program, book club, and many more. We owe all of our wonderful initiatives and programs to all of our strategic partners who fund us year round. Our tier one partners being Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Carnegie Mellon University's Software Engineering Institute, Cisco, Ford Motor Company, Google, Lockheed Martin, Microsoft, Optum, Sandia National Labs, and Sentinel One. Please do not forget to ask questions throughout the webinar today. If you have a question, drop it in the question box below, and if time permits, we will be addressing those at the end of the presentation. Lastly, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the WESIS newsletter to stay up to date on all of our upcoming events, programs, and webinars. You can find it at wesis.org in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Deirdre Peters with Lockheed Martin.
Thank you, Rosalie. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Deirdre Peters, the president of the Women in Cyber Lockheed Martin affiliate. I'm thrilled to introduce our organization to you and share our mission with you. The Women in Cyber Lockheed Martin affiliate believe that everyone deserves equal opportunities to succeed in the cybersecurity field, regardless of their background or gender. That's why we've dedicated to developing a robust cybersecurity workforce with gender equity. We are making a difference through our partnership with the Women in Cybersecurity by creating a global community of engagement, encouragement, and support for women in cybersecurity. We're providing year-round activities to help women achieve their goals in the field, including recruitment, retention, and advancement initiatives. If you are passionate about empowering women in cybersecurity, we invite you to join us. Whether you're a student, a professional, or an organization looking to make a difference, we have opportunities to help you get involved. So if you're interested, connect with myself on LinkedIn and any other members of our WOMA association, and we'll be happy to work with you. I'll now pass it over to Joanne.
Thank you, Deirdre. Thank you for joining us for an exciting conversation with a diverse panel of experts from Lockheed Martin. As we explore the latest trends and innovations in AI, cyber, and technology, our panel will share their insights and perspectives on how to unlock the full potential of these fields and how to leverage them to drive business success. From developing cutting-edge cybersecurity solutions to harnessing the power of AI and innovation, we'll delve into the strategies and approaches that are setting Lockheed Martin apart as a leader in the industry. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting your career, this is a unique opportunity to learn from the best and discover how you can be a part of shaping the future of AI, cyber, and innovation. I would like to introduce our panel before we dive into the questions and allow our panelists to tell us a little bit about themselves. We have Dr. Dawn Beyer, who is a senior fellow, Ambrose Cam, who is a fellow, and Dr. Danielle Clement, who is also a senior fellow. Let's start with Dr. Danielle. Can you tell us about your role at Lockheed Martin?
Sure thing. Thank you. Hi, my name is Danielle Clement. I am a Senior Technical Fellow in Intelligent Autonomous Systems with Lockheed Martin Aeronautics. and I have been working in the AI space for the past 22 years, focused primarily on autonomy. My recent work is very much focused on how we do AI verification and validation.
Thank you, Dr. Danielle. Ambrose, would you like to tell us what you do at Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Ambrose Cam. I'm a Lockheed Martin fellow. I also represent the cyber tech domain. So I work with Don Beyer as the deputy lead. So part of my job is really to look out for disruptive technologies that we can bring to the table, and how we can better utilize advanced technologies to solve cyber problems. And so this topic is perfect, because I do see a lot of AI applications within the cyber domain areas, and we can definitely leverage AI to the full extent. And so from in terms of my work experience, I have a little over 30 years within the DoD industry, with the past 21 years at Lockheed Martin. Thanks.
Thank you, Ambrose. Dr. Dawn?
Hey everyone, and thank you, WESIS, for having me today. I just want to also share that we have probably two of the best AI SMEs within Lockheed Martin here on the call. So Danielle is the LM AI SME, and then we also have Ambrose, who is the Cyber AI SME. So it's an honor to have both of them on the panel. Like Joanne said, I'm a senior fellow at Lockheed Martin. I've had the privilege of being at Lockheed for the past 23 years. Prior to Lockheed, I served in the U.S. Air Force for 24 years, half active, half reserve, so don't add those years together. For the past 3 years, I've had the opportunity to lead the development of our, of Lockheed Martin's cyber defense technology strategy. I also oversee our LM cyber defense tech portfolio, and that includes several initiatives, like our cyber strategic technology advisors. So that's a team of fellows and senior fellows, and they perform as advisors to our tech domain. And then also our cyber community of interest, where we provide information and knowledge about cyber defense across the corporation, via brown bags, fact sheets, catalog videos. We also have the Core Lab. Both the COI and the Core Lab is led by JD Vargas, who is also part of this effort, this webinar. So our lab is being leveraged to build right now our threat vector hunting capability. I also lead LM Cicada. The program Cicada stands for Cyber Intelligence Capabilities for Autonomous Detection and Defeat of Attacks. And that program includes 8 IRADs. IRAD stands for Independent Research and Development, which Ambrose is on the call. He's a PI for one of them. He's also our chief cyber scientist as well. I led the development of our cyber resiliency level framework, which is a standard for measuring cyber resiliency maturity. It's a tool that we use within Lockheed Martin to improve resiliency on our programs that we deliver to our customers, such as the Department of Defense. And then I also founded the Lockheed Women Fellows Network, and we use that to increase women in top talent initiatives across Lockheed. And then I'm also on the board of directors for the Women in Cybersecurity, and it's been an honor to serve WESIS for several years now. But thank you again for the invitation. I'm excited to be here and excited to be amongst friends and share my expertise and insights with you.
Thank you, Dr. Dawn. Amazing stories. So let's start off with our first question, and I'm going to direct this to Dr. Danielle. Dr. Danielle, you recently quoted, "AI is not magic," in a presentation. While it can be enticing, we sometimes forget that AI is math. Can you explain how machine learning and deep learning are being used in the industry, and what are some of the key applications?
Sure thing. Yeah, AI is not magic. Sometimes it feels like people think it is. There's just so much enthusiasm around this technology right now. But it is a discipline, and it's a discipline that's been around since the 1950s. When we talk about machine learning or deep learning, what we're really talking about is learning patterns from data. And because of that, there are so many applications in the industry for applying these types of AI techniques. There's anomaly detection applications, predictive maintenance, computer vision. There's also chatbots, which are very, very popular right now. But just because there's a lot of things you can do with AI doesn't mean it's a silver bullet. You know, when we talk about applying these technologies in the industry, as opposed to like as part of a schoolwork or part of a project, you know, there's challenges that we face with data quality sometimes. Real world data is messy and doesn't come to us in perfectly curated data sets. We also have some challenges with data availability, especially in systems where there's different levels of classification or access. These types of systems can be black boxes, meaning that they're very hard to interrogate or audit. And so if you want to use them for applications where that's important, they may not be the best fit. And then specific to this audience, these types of systems have very distinct and unique failure or degraded modes, which means for you guys that they have unique attack surfaces. And when they go wrong in ways that humans might not expect. So while it's very, very exciting to work in these technologies, we really have to be thoughtful when it comes to applying them. We can't just think of AI as magic pixie dust we get to sprinkle on all our hard problems and make them go away. In a lot of cases, trying to apply AI is actually harder than more traditional methods or traditional software development.
That's great. Dr. Dawn Ambrose, do you have anything to add? This is a great perspective.
I feel we have AI within Lockheed Martin, similar to Chat GPT. We call it Navigator, and a lot of people leverage Navigator within our corporation, and it's interesting, you know, because it just replies a lot faster and gives you a summary of the results and takes data from the corporation and puts it together for you. So I feel that a key application for us internally is that tool, and that allows for us to work a lot faster. But then again, to a point that Danielle was making, you know, it's leveraging data that it has. So it also requires the human to review the data to ensure its accuracy as well. But it definitely improves my work life. Ambrose?
Yeah, so I certainly agree with Danielle and also Don on the notion of the utility of AI. Certainly AI is a force multiplier. You know, we humans, we are not really 24/7, 365. I mean, you know, we got tired at our job, we got sick days, we have holidays, and so we're not really truly, you know, 24/7, right? So I do think that AI can alleviate a lot of the workloads that a lot of our human operators might have, and so we can use it to better address some of the high utilization or the fact that we don't have enough qualified cyber engineers, and so that's really important. But having said that, I definitely agree with Danielle that AI is not really magic. We have to validate, make sure that AI is actually doing what you think that it should be doing, right? As opposed to just looking at it as a black box and we just accept everything that comes out from it. Back in the 80s, right, there was this old saying, garbage in and garbage out, and I'm not sure how many of you have heard of that.
Yes.
Kind of shows my age here. But my point is that because AI needs to be trained, right? AI is inherently dumb. You basically have to train it to make sure that it can do the things that you want it to do. So therefore, you need large amounts of data. And so sometimes, if you have the wrong data, or maybe the AI model might be, analyzing or drawing the wrong conclusion, that's really bad, right? So that really, that takes us to the path down the where we need to validate and make sure that there's robustness, there's explainability within the AI system itself. So that's one of the things that that I can see as a major challenge. But yeah, that's how I kind of see AI. So.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that part, and like you all mentioned, it's all based on the data sets, and what goes in. It determines what comes out, like like you said, Ambrose. All right, let's go to our next question, and I'll direct this one to Dr. Dawn. Can you tell us about your role as the LM Cyber Tech Domain Program Manager and how the domain is leveraging AI?
Thanks for the question. So as a PM, I oversee the PIs, and we have a couple of PIs that manage Cicada program, and then within the program, like I said, we have 8 IRADs. Each IRAD has a PI, co-PI, and a team underneath it. A couple of our IRADs are using AI. For example, one of our IRADs, which actually Ambrose on the call, on the panel, is the principal investigator for, is leveraged to improve the speed and efficiency of our vulnerability assessments. Before I talk a little bit about that, I do want to say that I do believe that the most effective approach to vulnerability assessments is a combination of both AI and human expertise. Where AI, we would leverage that to perform the initial analysis and identify, what are actually the potential vulnerabilities. And then we would leverage humans to review and validate those results. So they would provide like the context and the expertise to ensure the right remediation, because remediation is more than just the technical solution. Remediation also includes doing like cost benefits analysis to identify, what is the actual best course of action. Because you may see the best course of think the best COA is, in development, when in all actuality, it's probably not the most effective control to put it in an operational environment. But overall, we use AI to reduce the risk of security breaches and improve our overall security posture. AI can analyze, like was said earlier, vast amounts of data, and can also perform repetitive tasks much faster and more effectively than humans can. And going back to the data, there's just too much data. When I was in intelligence, and we had to do like current intelligence briefings and analysis on threats, there was just too much data for us as a human to really consume, and you often felt like, like an info glut, we would call it. And AI helps, researching and analyzing way more data than the human can. So it's much, much faster. AI, we use it for within our IRAD, specifically for consistency as well. And then also improving scalability, like I said. So basically, overall, I would say consistency, scalability, speed, would be some of the major factors that we leverage AI for within the Cicada program.
Amazing. Yeah, I can see how AI can help with sorting through the tons and tons of data. I'm going to follow this up with Ambrose on, can you speak a little bit about how you're leveraging AI at work and in your university engagements?
Yeah, sure thing. So I'll address the first part first. About how are we leveraging AI, and so I completely agree with what Don just said about how we can use AI in terms of anomaly detection, right? So imagine that you are in charge of security for a network, and you have network traffic data, you have user data, right? You have all kinds of data coming in. And the problem is that you don't have enough staff to actually monitor everything, and frankly, that's a very boring job to look at all that network traffic data and kind of analyze it. Not only that it takes time, but it's very tedious. And so I think that's a pretty good use case of using AI and using AI to identify potential anomalies, and basically just alert human operators to say that, hey, for this particular IP address is downloading a lot of materials, a lot of IP traffic coming in from this particular node at 1 a.m. In the middle of the night, and when usually there's nothing else going on. So why don't you, the human operator, why don't you go and take a look at it? That sort of thing. I think that's very useful. The other thing that we are also doing right now is in terms of vulnerability assessment. So there are a lot of different vulnerabilities, right? Some of these vulnerabilities of a system can come from hardware, can come from software, can come from firmware, or maybe combination of all of the above. And so it's not possible for one human person, when you're doing penetration testing, to expose all the exploits, all the potential vulnerabilities out there. And so it might be useful to use AI for that particular use case. And then once you have identified these potential exploits, how are you going to mitigate these risks or these security gaps, let's say? And so again, there are hundreds of thousands, or if not more, of ways in terms of mitigation or remediations. And so I'm actually developing an approach or methodology to use reinforcement learning to specifically come up with effective cyber solutions so that we can address these potential security gaps. So that's the other potential use case. And then the other thing that we're also doing is in terms of like cyber wargaming, right? So some of you might have heard about cyber tabletop, CTT, or maybe capture the flag and exercise, that sort of thing. But we can also extend some of the same ideas to red versus blue kind of cyber wargaming. Offense versus defense kind of thing, so that we can identify potential tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs, that maybe human operators or human players might not have thought of at the time. So that's another good potential use case of AI. And then in terms of university engagement, I have led a number of these UE projects with MIT, Georgia Tech, PSU, or Penn State. And so there are like different projects going on. Like, for example, at MIT, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I first, led a team of engineers to look at, developing a AI expert system. So instead of having human operators to identify potential ways to improve the defensive posture, maybe we can use AI. And then the other thing that I've done with, say, for example, Georgia Tech, is really to better understand what are the vulnerabilities, or how does a particular malware get trigger. So that trigger, that's important to understand what the impacts of that particular malware. or maybe we have developed ways to actually scan the dark web and then build cyber threat profile of these CPT threats out there, persistent threat out there, so that we can better understand what are their the tools that they like, how they want to attack certain systems, that kind of thing. So we have been working with closely with universities to develop advanced AI techniques for cyber use cases.
Amazing. I like how you put it, as it's kind of giving us the tools that we need to respond faster with the assessments and the analysis that we're able to apply AI to, and give us the opportunity to respond faster and check the checker, per se. Thank you, Ambrose and Dr. Dawn. My next question goes to Dr. Danielle, and it is, can you discuss the importance of human-AI collaboration in cybersecurity, and how can we ensure that humans and AI systems work together effectively?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I actually really love this question because I think it's a little bit of the term human AI collaboration is a bit of a funny term, because I think AI is the only tool that we use this term with. And it's an incredibly powerful tool, but for example, I don't collaborate with my car on my drive to work, right? This idea of collaborating with our tools is so interesting to me. And I think there's a nuance there, and that nuance is this idea of control, right? We've outsourced, when we use some AI technologies, we're outsourcing some of our human decision-making processes to machines, and we don't necessarily want to give up that control entirely. We want it to be a back and forth. We want it to be a kind of teamed interaction, right? But it's very risky to kind of anthropomorphize these types of tools, and it's so hard. I say please and thank you to chatbots all the time. You don't need to do that. They're not human back there. And
that's funny.
If you think about your human teammates, empathy, right? They admit when they don't know something or when they're wrong, mostly. They're able to self-reflect on what they've done wrong in the past and change their behaviors to accommodate it. And they can also adapt very, very quickly to new situations, right? And when we treat AI even mentally like they're humans or they're people, we may subconsciously attribute those types of qualities to AI, and AI is terrible at all of that, right? So to specifically answer the point of the question, how can we work more effectively with AI? I think what we need to do is we need to understand what it was trained to do and what the limits are, right? You don't ask your toaster to drive you to work. You don't ask your car to heat up your lunch, right? You didn't ask your do things that you didn't train it to do. And that can be so hard because users don't always have the insight into where the AI is strong, where their capabilities are strong, and where the capabilities are weak. This also came up a couple of the other panelists. We need to be able to understand how and when to turn the system off. When we build these AI systems, they do respond faster and they do process more data than humans can. And so if for some reason we're going to turn off those systems, what does that mean to the human that now needs to respond quickly and consume all this data? How do they do that effectively? And it may not be, turning off an AI system may not be physically turning it off. It may be choosing not to use it. I know Dawn brought up Navigator, which is our internal chatbot. And one of the things I've seen in meetings lately is you'll show up at a brainstorming meeting and there'll be 10 people there and they've all prepared using Navigator. So 10 people have independently, one-on-one, asked the AI, what's a good team name? And everybody comes with the solutions. And you would have been so better off if you just took a couple minutes to think on your own and maybe didn't engage so much with the AI. And so that I think is very important. And then the other thing I think is really important when humans want to work effectively with AI is to be a skeptic. These systems are very confident in their responses sometimes, and sometimes they're very confidently wrong. So it's important to not just blindly trust their output. It's important to interrogate kind of what's going on and bounce it off your own strong engineering judgment. On the side of folks who are building AI, I think people that build AI really need to think about the users when they design these systems, and they need to plan in advance for those user needs to change. You know, the information you might need from an AI system on the first day you're using it may not be the same information that you need, 2 months down the road. So how is your user interface going to accommodate that? How are the systems around the AI systems going to accommodate that? And then the folks that build these AI systems need to tell the users what the strengths and weaknesses of the system are, what it's been trained to do, what it's explicitly not been trained to do, so you can more effectively use it. I think, like Dawn said, the combination of human expertise and all of the uniqueness and resiliency that humans bring to the problem, and the speed and ability to just process data that AI brings, means that combination is incredibly powerful. And we just need to be able to understand how these systems work so they can work more effectively with each other.
That is an amazing description. I liked the way that you described that, because sometimes we do forget that it's a computer on the other end. And it's not human. It's not like us, but we put this trusting and control into it, and forget the limitations. Thank you, Dr. Danielle. My next question is for Dr. Dawn, and that is, what role can women play in driving innovation and advancement in the field of AI and cybersecurity? And how can we work to increase diversity and inclusion in the industry? Why is this important?
Yeah, thanks, Joanne, for that question. So women can play a crucial role in driving, or not can, we do play a crucial role in driving innovation and advancement in the field of both AI and cybersecurity. For example, Danielle talked about improving user experience, and by leveraging our experience, we can design and develop AI systems with that background, with our experience, that are more user-friendly and also accessible, which can lead to wider adoption overall. We also bring diverse perspectives. So women bring our unique perspectives and our ideas to the field, and we leverage that to lead and develop innovative solutions and approaches that may not have been considered otherwise. And then also, earlier was bias was brought up. So like addressing bias in AI systems, being able to identify that and ensure or improve the fairness in those systems. And women can also contribute to the development of more effective cybersecurity measures, such as leveraging our experience and our diverse background, to do better threat detection and incident response. Everything I'm saying, it's women bringing our diverse backgrounds, but I feel that everyone in the group, has diverse backgrounds, no matter what your gender is. I feel that a lot of us have different experiences, and we bring that to the table. But overall, with all of that said, I feel that women serve probably the biggest, at least from what I've seen in my experience, as role models and mentors, and especially in the Fellows program. And so just for those of you on the call, the Fellows program is a way that Lockheed Martin uses that program to identify and recognize the top talent in technology and STEM across Lockheed Martin. And so Fellows really support our senior executives and our organization with, we provide leadership with visibility into strategy and technology and risks and opportunities and policy and workforce. So going back to your question with the workforce part of that, what I've seen fellows, especially the women fellows, do is serve as those role models and those mentors and inspire and guide like the next generation of women in AI and cybersecurity, because it's for some reason the big difference between men and women, at least from what I see, a lot has to do with the confidence. And so, I can ask for a male volunteer and I can get the whole room to volunteer and not get one female volunteer sometimes, and go back and follow up with that and ask why haven't you volunteered? And the response I would get is because I don't know everything. I'm not an expert in AI, or I'm not an expert in cybersecurity, and once you provide that mentorship and support, they start to realize, wait a minute, I can contribute, and my background is unique, and I do bring different ideas to this project or in this field. And so with all of that being said, I think that's probably the most important part, is women recognizing what they can bring, and the fact that, they do play that pivotal role in driving innovation and advancement in both cybersecurity and AI.
Very inspirational, Dr. Dawn, as always. I completely agree. The diverse perspective brings new ideas, and it also the confidence and being able to volunteer and not measure yourself against other people, and just having the confidence. Does Dr. Danielle or Ambrose have anything to add?
Yeah. So one thing that I would add is that having better diversity can give us more innovative solution, because each person is a little bit different in terms of background. Not just the skin color, race, or cultural background, but also gender as well. And so I guess the more diverse the workforce is, the more innovative solutions that we can derive from. So I think that's a really positive thing. So completely agree with what Dawn just said there.
Thank you, Ambrose. All right, our next question is for Ambrose, and that is, what are some of the most promising emerging trends and technologies in AI-powered cybersecurity, and how do you see them shaping the future of the industry?
Yeah, I think that this is a great question. This is the sort of questions, the sort of question that actually motivates me every day to go to work, actually think of, better ways of using AI or other, disruptive technologies. And so I think, so I can come up with a few examples, and certainly I think, Danielle and also Dawn have, kind of alluded to the use of Gen AI, how we can use large language model or LLM to produce new information, right? I think that's pretty exciting. I think that in our use case, if you use something like ChatGPT or the Navigator, if you're part of, Lockheed Martin, I mean, you can ask the question, the same question, 10 times, you might get, 10 different results. And part of it is because of the nature of the Gen AI is supposed to, aggregate, the existing, data sets and come up with something new. And so you wouldn't expect to have the same answer every time. So that's pretty exciting, right? Because it actually gives you some new ideas as well. But also at the same time, you need to check the responses, that come out, from the LLM, model. So that's one good way of using LLM. And then the other way that's kind of related to it is NLP, natural language, processor, and how we can use a combination of NLP, LLM, as well as word embedding, for example, to detect, misinformation, disinformation. A lot of these days you cannot really trust everything that you see on the internet, right? I mean, our adversaries, they typically execute all kinds of information warfare, and so they send us, false information, misinformation, and so it might be a good idea to use, AI to actually help us, to alert us at least to possibility of misinformation as well. So as a matter of fact, that's actually one of the earlier projects that I did at MIT as well when I collaborated with a team of engineers there. So that's pretty exciting. And also the other good use case of AI is, for example, in the areas of anomaly detection. A lot of the systems that we have nowadays, they have long program life cycle, and I can use a Lockheed Martin platform like C-130, for example. It has been around for 7-8 years. Aegis, as in the Aegis destroyer, has been around for 50 years, for example, right? These platforms, they have long program life cycle, and so a lot of times when you put something out there, back in the 50s and 60s, you may not have thought about these cyber threats back in the time. And so, but now that the time has evolved, and the cyber threats have also evolved as well. And so now you need to think of ways to identify potential vulnerabilities, or maybe new ways that the adversaries could exploit your system. And like I said, earlier, we humans, we are only good for what we have trained for, right? I mean, so what about ideas that you haven't been trained for, or things that you haven't learned? So these are things like what you don't know what you don't know kind of situation. And so I think that this is where the AI can also help us as well to come up with better ways to identify potential exploits, but also at the same time to help us to come up with mitigations as well, relative to certain missions that you want to perform. A lot of your customers would approach me to ask questions like how much cyber that I actually need on my program, or that I need on my particular network, or on my system. So my response is typically, it depends, right? Depends on how you want to use your system, what kind of operating environment that you are exposing it in, and what the adversaries might be doing to your system. And so like I said, we human operators, we can only think of things that we are trained for, that we have some experiences with. And so we have a lot of knowledge blind spot, and this is one of the areas that actually AI can definitely help us. So those are the just a few use cases for cyber AI, I think.
I love the question, how much security do I need?
Yeah, that's usually a tough question to answer.
Yeah. And I see, the trend of trust. There's a lot of benefits, but it all comes down to, trusting information you're putting in, trusting what's coming out, and trusting the process. Anyone else want to add anything before we move on to the next question?
I think Ambrose did a great job answering that.
Yeah, did. So question 16 is, how does AI and cybersecurity differ from traditional cybersecurity approaches? And this is also for Ambrose.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it kind of highlights the value proposition of AI and why we want to use AI to support our cyber operations, both defensively as well as offensively, right? So like I said, I think that we human operators, we are kind of limited in our knowledge, and within cyber there are so many different combinations, and so I can give you a concrete example. For example, when we were supporting one of our ship programs, for example, we have discovered for one of the elements that we have over 90,000 vulnerabilities. And so if I ask you, like, just a few years ago, if you have to do this by hand, in terms of not just identifying these 90,000 vulnerabilities, but also coming up with a prioritized 1 through N list, that would take you a long time. Because I know that, because I used to be the one who was doing that. It took me like months and months to actually come up with that list and actually help our program managers and customers to make an informed decision, right, as far as which vulnerabilities that we should patch first, for example. So that's the kind of scalability that we are talking about here. We're not talking about, oh, well, this particular, say your iPhone 15, you only have like say five vulnerabilities. It's not like that, right? We're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. And there was only one example, right? And so I think that this is one area that definitely AI can help us in terms of the scalability, the scalability, and also the speed, right? Coming up with a prioritized list and leveraging some of the vulnerability scoring methods out there. And we can not only that we can use the typical CVSS scoring, but also we can have our own vulnerability scoring methods as well, or maybe we can have combinations of them that can help us identify what are the potential exploitability, right, quote unquote exploitability, which is basically the probability of being exploited for that particular vulnerability there. So things like that, if I ask you to do this manually, that's a very human intensive process, and so that's where the AI can definitely shine, I think. So yeah.
Thank you. So we are going to move on to questions and answers from the audience. See the questions that we have. So we have a question from Jonah. Is there any solution developed to address the issues? It's mentioned in a research paper, but I'm not sure what research paper that is. So how to get to the mentorship, the question is, I'm sorry. What are the roles like within Lockheed Martin cybersecurity and AI, and how does one get the opportunity to join the AI without a background in data and analysis or machine learning?
I guess I can take a stab at it. So I can tell you from experience. I myself, back in the 90s, right? So I went to college back in early 90s. So I didn't have a degree in cyber, right? So I was actually trained as a systems engineer first. So after a few years at work, so I was asked to design networks for the Air Force, and I slowly got involved in what back then what was called the DOS attack, right? Denial of service attacks and that sort of thing. So that's how I got started. Back in the day, I don't even think that there was a term called cyber back in the early 90s. So So from my standpoint, I think that I kind of look at education as a way to get you through the door academically, but over time, it's really up to you to do a lot of these on-the-job training, and particularly in a high-tech field where you have a lot of new disruptive technologies, new ideas, and new threats even. And so it's really up to you as a person to actually to continue to learn, to explore, and to really get outside of your comfort zone, right? So like I said, I when back in the day, I wasn't trained as a cyber person at all. So it wasn't until much later that I got involved and actually got interested in cyber. And so cyber AI is such a broad field, right? Not just the typical big data, but also the AI model development, the validation, and also in the cyber domain you have pen testing, red teaming, and all that, right? So there's a combination of so many different skills that you need. But I would encourage you to start from somewhere. To Don's point, I think that it is important to have a wide spectrum of folks to get interested, to get exposed to cyber as well as AI, and really to help us to develop the next generation, or to have a pipeline of engineers as well, so that we can come up with better cyber solutions. So that's what I think.
All right. Thank you, Ambrose. Does anyone else have anything to add? All right.
In that same question, it also talked about what skills gap are being developed for AI security, and are there any areas of AI GRC, which I'm guessing that stands for governance, risk, and compliance? And yes, to that question, in regards to the skills gap, I think within Lockheed, AI is across multiple disciplines, across multiple domains. And whereas we do have dedicated AI experts, like Danielle and Ambrose on the call, they are also experts in many other things, like Ambrose was talking about. And like security engineering that's listed here. Soft skills, I would also say, that's very important, and many people also hire based on soft skills and the ability to learn the hard skills. But for trying to get into any company, it's don't just rely on applying to one rec and waiting for a response before you apply to another requisition, a job opportunity out there. When I was trying to get on board with Lockheed and trying to get on board with a defense company, I was applying to 20 plus recs a day. And in addition to that, I was leveraging my network, and I ended up getting on board with Lockheed through a subcontractor. So I applied for the subcontractor position, and then ended up getting an actual Lockheed Martin position. So there are many different ways to try and get on board with a company, but I would recommend highly that you work on trying to improve that network, and you could do that by joining industry associations, and joining associations or organizations like the Women in Cybersecurity, or NCOSI, or NDIA, or IEEE, and usually you have other people that are just as passionate as you are on specific areas of interest, and because there's different working groups and different committees that you can join, and you can increase your network that way as well. Ambrose said one more thing too, which I think is really important for when you're in a development role, when you're developing some type of technical solution. It's very important to understand the basics of systems engineering, which is for any discipline within the defense industry, and not just for a technical discipline as well. It doesn't matter if you're in finance or program management. Always having that basic foundation of systems engineering, I think would benefit anyone interested in going in that direction in many ways, more than one. Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you. All right, our next question is, how would you utilize AI-powered cybersecurity to shore up the grid, not only to manage loads, but also to mitigate outside threats? I guess to secure up the grid, not only to manage loads, also to mitigate outside threats.
I guess I can take a stab at it. I assume the grid meaning power grid, I guess. So so I think within the cyber industry, there's what's called information technology and then operational technology, IT/OT, and so for those of you that might be aware, there's big convergence of IT/OT networks and how some of the techniques that we typically use on the IT side can be applied to OT now, right? Because there's more and more of these convergence. And so you're right. I think there are existing cases of power grid attacks, and look at what happened to Ukraine back in the 2015, 2016 timeframe. So those threats are definitely real, and I think that that we need to develop better anomaly detection technologies or techniques, and coming up with better mitigations. Going back to what I was kind of alluding to earlier, it's really hard to have human operators paying good attention 24/7, and so even if you might have like 3 shifts during the day, all it takes is just one little slip up, and the adversary might get a foothold in the door and be able to launch additional cyber attacks or launch additional malware against the system. So having said that, I think that we can apply AI techniques to detect anomalies, but also coming up with mitigations, and some of the same use case applications can be applied to ICS system and your industrial control system within the OT world. And so to that end, I think we need to come up with better ways to do testing and to perform, like, for example, CTT, cyber tabletop and penetration testing, so that we can help train the cyber protection team to better anticipate what's coming down the pike and how the adversaries might be attacking your power grid or your system. Same thing applies to other critical infrastructure, like water supply or sewage or that sort of thing as well. So.
Thank you, Ambrose. All right. So we'll close on that, and I want to thank everyone for joining us on this exciting journey to unlock the power of AI, cyber, and innovation. As we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible, let us all strive to drive positive change and fortify Lockheed Martin's reputation as a leader in the cyber industry. Together, we can harness potential of AI and innovation to protect critical assets, advance national security, and shape the future of cybersecurity. We're grateful for your interest in learning more about our work and invite you to join our team of experts as we continue to drive innovation and excellence in AI, cyber, and beyond. Thank you.